Don't be a lemon. Be a rosebud.
Behold the power of magnetism. What would your finishing maneuver be called?
The circumcision.
Follow the process.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk More Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we talk about whatever we like because it's the extra one that we do in the middle of the week. My name is Turbo Tony, I'm your host, and normally this is where I say some elaborate thing where I say this is the next big thing, or the Hulkster, Matt Marsander, but he's not
I'm
here.
amazing.
You cut in before your big entrance.
Because I'm amazing. You said this is where I usually do the big entrance, which meant that you weren't going to do it.
Okay.
I deserve one.
There you are. So we're here with Stacey Shalimar, shall we call you? You always get someone nickname here. If anyone doesn't know, who hasn't listened to episodes of this before, Stacey is my generic wrestling fan go-to girl, where I get all my...
and your wife.
And my wife as well.
And the mother of your babies.
Less so, maybe, that, in terms of people on the podcast. If you haven't caught this edition of the podcast before, in the Let's Talk More Wrestling, we take things a lot more relaxed. It's not as disciplined, shall we say, as the main podcast on the weekends. And I've got a few questions for you as a general wrestling fan. This should last for about an hour.
Okay.
And we're just going to ramble on. If you're a new subscriber and you're wondering if this is the stuff that we do all the time, go catch one of our regular episodes. I'd say that'll probably be a better one to go through it. So, first of all, let's talk about you first. You're a wrestling fan before you met me.
Yeah. When I was about 15, maybe?
Yeah. I mean,
Stone Cold era.
Yeah, a lot of people got into it during that time.
Yeah.
I was a little bit earlier than that, personally.
Oh, I as a kid, I was obsessed with Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
Then my brothers got older and decided they needed girlfriends, and they stopped watching wrestling, so I didn't anymore, and then I got back into it again.
Talking of Jake the Snake, because that's not one of my questions, are you really happy the way that he's going now?
Yeah, he looks really good. I really liked his speech when he accepted the award and stuff.
Yeah, for such a dark character that he was, I'm glad that he took it into a bit of a dark place, his speech. Yeah. But it's for a good reason, you know? So that's why he didn't just say, I'm gonna... it was for a good meaning. So, I think one of the things, when you think of wrestling, especially in that era, you think of Hulk Hogan. Regardless of whether you like him or hate him, wrestling fans, he's still one of the biggest names in wrestling of all time. Yeah. You probably think of the Ultimate Warrior, and then you think of Jake the Snake. Those are the three that I think that you probably think of. Well, from the time that I first started getting into wrestling. So, personally, though, I mean, I'm a big fan of Bret Hart, so I had to say Bret Hart on those lists as well. But I understand why a lot of people wouldn't say that the same thing. So I've got a few questions for you. I say a few. I've got about 20 for you here, and we're going to ramble on for them as long as you like, and give you an insight to what I do my research. Because when I say a lot of the stuff on the podcast, just before we get into the questions, I say a lot of stuff of one of the things that myself and Matt are quite proud of is that we don't look at it always from the perspective of a fan that has watched it week in, week out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can look at it in from the view of a person who isn't a big Mark, who isn't a big. But just the fact you don't know what Mark is exactly what I'm saying.
The blank look on my face, give it away.
It's you know what I mean? That not every wrestling fan is like that. In fact, we're probably the minority, maybe the 10% of wrestling fans. Yeah. The rest of them are all fans like yourself. So I like to get your views on it, and often I would ask your views before I'm on a podcast, as you know. Some
of your best jokes are my jokes.
Yeah, well, I give you credit for them, so there you are.
Sometimes.
So you are. I know a lot of our fans do like our jokes here on the podcast. So, let's get into our questions before we dawdle any further. So we kind of touched into it a little bit earlier, but how did you first get into watching wrestling? Do you know what first compelled you to watch professional wrestling?
If I remember, I think it used to be on Saturday mornings. SmackDown used to be on Saturday mornings on Sky One or something. Yeah. I used to watch it with my cousin in my nan's house.
Yeah. It would be on, you catch it, sort of thing. Would it be a midday thing?
No, it was morning. It was before 12. It was from 10 until 12 in the morning time.
When you think of that, because The Rock is the one that started that show, and they had a lot of crass stuff during that time,
I remember,
so they must have a very kiddie version of it.
I remember Undertaker kidnapping Stephanie and me being so shocked. Oh my god, why is nobody doing anything about this?
Why is no one calling the authorities?
Yeah. Nobody told me this wasn't real.
Here's the first thing then, right? So when did you find out that it was choreographed? Did it crush you? No!
Yeah, you.
So you honestly thought it was real up until the moment I met you?
I thought a lot of it was real.
Wow. Interesting. I never knew that, actually.
That's cool. Why I had so many questions for you. And I was like, doesn't it hurt? When you get hit with a chair and they look like it really hurts, does it really hurt? You were like, no, it's not that bad. And I'm like, but it's a fucking chair to the face. It's gotta hurt. Well, the chair bends.
Chair to the face, obviously. You got to like, but
it's
to the back.
It's not like a chair.
Yeah.
It's like the chair you get in school.
Yeah. You could probably fall on that thing and it breaks, sort of thing. Yeah. Well, that's quite cool. I'm sure that a lot of people that maybe don't know the inside or don't delve that far into it. We've said that before, that myself and Matt. If we could go back and think that way and not know everything, we would do it in a heartbeat. We would do it instantly. We'd do it because we want to. Like, half of wrestling is suspending our belief about what's going on.
Yeah.
So if we could go back to that, that's like ideal for us.
Because you're not
we
critiquing
really believe
things
that.
Like their acting skills and them being able to pull off a move.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So, but
I
think
enjoy that
once
conversation.
You can't go back.
You cannot unsee it.
You cannot unknow it. Yeah, sort of thing.
Like me in movies.
So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like as the time, like as you said, you got into wrestling, which was like the de facto Attitude Era. Is probably where a lot of people. That's like wrestling's never been as hot then as it is now.
Yeah, you had Stone Cold and you had like China. I was a huge China fan.
Yeah.
And Lisa and.
Whereas all of them are names that people would know.
Yeah.
Then, but if you ask people now, okay, name a wrestler, they might say John Cena, maybe at a stretch, CM Punk, but no one else.
Yeah.
Which I think we'll get onto that anyway. That's one of my questions later on. So, what do you think then? Talking about that, what do you think is the biggest difference now in wrestling? I'm not saying whether it's bad or good. I don't say, oh shit, no, it was great back then, because everyone says that. It's quite boring. What do you say is the biggest difference now to the Stone Cold era or the Attitude Era? What would you say is the big difference?
I don't know. Lack of Stone Cold.
Really? Well, you could say that. Stone Cold was one of the hottest properties of wrestling of all time.
He was a different breed.
Yeah.
He was the middle finger in the air. He was the FU, you know.
Well, they can't do that anymore, can they, with the PG?
Yeah, but that's what I missed. You missed the guy fighting for the underdog. I loved when things like, I remember JR getting beat up in the ring and Stone Cold came out and he saved him.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. That's what you want. You want the hero.
Yeah. The guy to get behind. Why don't you think then that fans now don't receive Cena, because Cena is that guy now?
Yeah.
The same that they did Austin.
Because he's a terrible actor.
Really?
He is. He's really, really bad. He's bad in a good way. He sells being hurt so well that it doesn't come off good when he just automatically is just better again.
Yeah, he's Superman's out, Super Cena.
Yeah, like he might get 3 pedigrees and he's like, oh my god, I'm dying, and he can't stand. And then out of nowhere, he pulls off a move and he wins the match.
Yeah.
And you're like, you were dying 2 seconds ago where I thought you needed a medic.
Yeah.
And now you're strutting around with your Super Cena. That's what I call it, Super Cena.
Yeah. It's the biggest description of it, and I do say that.
Crush.
Like, for me, that screams of bad booking, because if you get a guy that gets annihilated and then he wins out, I think, sure, you can do that. Maybe once, maybe twice in a wrestler's career. I'm not saying it's wrong,
every time.
but it does it way too much, and it's just. I think the biggest thing that someone said about him is that for a fan trying to suspend their disbelief, he's unrealistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not at all. Like the biggest one that kind of turned me off him was that match with Randy Orton, where he was like handcuffed.
Breaking Point. Yeah,
he was handcuffed to the ring.
Yeah.
And Randy Orton spent 25 minutes beating the crap out of him, and he was shaking, like literally shaking. He couldn't.
He was whacking kendo sticks and everything, wasn't he? Like, it was like,
but when he took his hands down from the cuffs, he couldn't hold them. They were shaking. He had them out in front of him, and they were shaking, and he couldn't walk. And within 5 minutes, he won the match. When Randy Orton had no hits on him for the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It was all him beating Cena because Cena was tied up.
Yeah.
But in 5 minutes, he beat Orton.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And now he's walking fine, and he doesn't have to shake.
And now he's like jumping around the ring as if he's, all this, like, I do get what you mean. Which, I mean, if you look back in the days, I mean, but going back to the question, you say the biggest difference between now and then is that they don't have a Stone Cold.
I really thought Randy Orton was heading that way for a while, though.
A few people did, but I mean...
But then he let his hair grow out a bit, you know?
He got too easy, didn't he? He kind of pulled off the thing. And if you notice that, then everyone else can notice that. So, moving forward, as a girl, I've said this before a lot of times that you don't mind me saying that certain girls are attractive. And
no,
I've said
agreed
on the thing
or disagreed.
Yeah, and I've already said on the show that the guys that you think are quite hot. So here's the big question: who do you think is the hottest male wrestler in WWE today?
Oh, Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he's the hottest looking, but Ambrose is the hottest mental guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Something
if you could
Ambrose.
mix the two of those together, you would have an amazing person. Like, Roman Reigns was wrestling last week, and I swear I got pregnant. My ovaries were like, oh my god.
And I think I referenced that on that episode of the podcast as well. So moving forward to that as well, who do you think is the hottest female wrestler or announcer?
I don't even look at the announcers, so...
Well, there's only one, really, which is Renee Young.
I don't even know what she looks like.
Oh, okay, so there you are.
Female wrestler. I don't know that many. I switch off when they come on the TV. Oh, Paige is really good looking though.
Yeah.
I just don't get her scream.
Well, the flick back and the scream.
Yeah, she just does this weird scream, and it makes no sense. But she's good looking.
So you go with her, right?
Yeah.
Just the idea. We're going to talk about a little more about
she's the most naturally good looking one. Yeah,
we're going to talk about a little bit more about the women's wrestling and Paige more directly as well. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but. Yeah, I think the idea that you don't know many of the divas, I think is one of the biggest problems when you could probably try and name now some of the wrestlers in the Trish and Lita.
Well, yeah, you had Trish and you had Lita and you had Chyna, and there was a lot of them, but they were such a presence.
Yeah.
Like Chyna would fight with the men, and I found that so amazing.
Yeah.
Growing up, because I was taller than my girls in my class, and I was stronger than them, and I always knew that I could go toe to toe with a guy, and Chyna did that on TV.
Yeah. And now she's sucking dick for a living. But we will get in...
Don't ruin it!
One night in China, shall we say. So there you go. They're your two picks. Paige and Reigns. So one of them was quite tanned, one of them's not as tanned.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
One of them used to live in England, so that's why she's not very tanned.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like that she's not... Who came out a few weeks ago? Was it Orton? And I said to you, Jesus Christ, he's orange.
Yeah. Some of them are. Some of them are very, very tan.
He got a really bad tan job. He really did. It was terrible.
But then again, if you get a bad tan job, it shows up really badly. I know Eric Young on TNA, which you don't watch often. We're going to talk a little bit about TNA. He had a really bad tan job the other couple of weeks, and it showed every time he raised his arms, it was completely white, and it was oh, that's kind of really bad. But anyway. What is it like being married to a podcaster, per se? Not so much wrestling, but more podcasting.
Oh, it can be quite annoying.
Okay, go on, tell us what it's annoying. You're wrong, of course.
So besides the scheduling issues of, I'm doing it tonight, no, I'm doing it tomorrow night, no, I'm doing it Saturday night, that's okay. You replay your podcasts over and over.
Yeah,
so I hear the same podcast 3 or 4 times, and then you're like, have you watched my podcast or listened to it? And I'm like, no. And then you get mad because I haven't listened to it.
I don't get mad.
No, you used to. You used to. But because you play it so often, and half the time I hear you, I'm pretty much in the know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But it's fun as well at the same time because you get so much enjoyment out of it. And I like watching Raw with you when you take your notes.
Yeah. One of the things I will say, though, that being a podcast, as you say, sometimes scheduling can be pretty off-putting, especially as we've got a deadline. We record it so late in the week.
Yeah.
But I think we have to do that. One of the things that we say on the podcast is that Matt watches it quite close to when we record. I watch it at the beginning of the week. That way we've got 2 different perspectives. You've got the long-standing perspective and the fresh one.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best way of us doing it. And that was a conscious decision. But people might not realise that. I mean, a lot of people don't like listening to themselves, but because I did video game recordings and stuff before this, I'm used to the sound of my own voice, so listening back it doesn't make me cringe. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist. If I find a bit of a podcast, I'm like, Tony, why did you do that? Why did you say that? I try and iron it out, and I think we got better.
You're much better now from when you did your first YouTube video ever.
What about the first podcast though?
Yeah, even then, because I remember you doing your first podcast and you were nervous and your voice was a little shaky and. You're much
For anyone
better now.
thinking, oh, she's just saying that 'cause she's married, you honestly don't know my wife. She's very brutally honest.
Brutally honest.
Yeah, so she'll tell me if I've done shit before. I think there may be one or two times you said that was pretty bad. So
yeah, I remember you did a video. I think it was on Guild Wars, and yeah, you were reading out the story, and I called you on it. I was like, you can tell you're reading it.
And I was like,
doesn't sound
so offended. I was like,
your first time doing it.
Okay, so moving on to a bit more wrestling. We talked about a bit about John Cena, but we'll talk about. I mean, now are you a fan of John Cena?
No.
Were you a fan of John Cena?
Yes.
Why were you a fan of John Cena then? Not that it's wrong. I'm just asking why.
I wasn't a regular watcher of wrestling, and I liked him.
Comes across as a likable guy.
Yeah, he does. He comes across as a do-gooder.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a champion that you want to cheer behind.
Yeah.
But then the more I watched him regularly, the more I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
Yeah, it just gets repetitive, I think that's probably the thing. And we've already talked, obviously, about at length about that breaking point match. I remember you talking to me was the time where you were like...
That was my breaking point.
That was your breaking point with John Cena. Yeah, and a lot of people probably would agree with you. The biggest thing that people don't like him about is why he gets shoved down people's throats quite a bit, which I don't think is the reason why you dislike him. I think it's because, one, he's unrealistic as a competitor because he's invincible, and two, he's very repetitive in all the stuff that he does.
I get it. He's great for the kids under the age of 10.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, you don't want a 10-year-old crying because their guy lost or their guy got injured. They want to see him come back. They want to see him be resilient, and they want their happy ending.
Yeah.
But
we look at kids, right? People say, "Oh, why are kids being so stupid?" Right? Cena's only got 5 moves. When I was a kid, I fucking loved Pokemon. Pokemon only had 4 moves.
Pogs.
There you go. Exactly.
I had Pogs.
Like it's not. You don't look at things the way the adults do. It's not easy
no,
to get
kids think of things in simpler terms, and it's much easier. And I can understand that. You know, if Catherine came home and she started crying because, you know, somebody lost.
Yeah.
It would be.
Even though she's a fan of Kane. Kane is her favourite wrestler.
Yeah.
Which is really odd.
Yeah, she's a bit strange like that.
Unfortunately, he loses a lot, but we won't get into that. We have beautifully strange children. Anyway, which 3 wrestlers each week are you most looking forward to watching on Raw or on TNA?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
And Wyatt.
It's quite telling that you say those guys. These are the.
They're the 3
You've got
main.
two guys out the Shield. You've got one guy out the White. So these guys they've been in there for a while, but they're relatively fresh.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah.
You know, I really like. Well, Roman Reigns, I just like to look at. I don't care what he has to say. I don't even get the Superman move because it looks weird, but I like to look at him.
Yeah.
I like when he flicks his hair and he starts getting all sweaty and stuff. But Ambrose, when he does that weird, crazy kicking the crap out of someone, when he does the mad punches.
Yeah.
Hot.
You love that. Yeah, it was a hot. Okay.
He reminds me of the guy from American Horror Story.
I've never seen
the crazy
it.
guy Tate. You've never seen it, but he looks like the crazy guy Tate.
Okay.
So when I see him, I'm just like, yeah, he'd make a pretty awesome boyfriend.
Yeah, I can imagine he would protect his girlfriend.
Yeah, if somebody said something to you, yeah, he'd kick the crap out of them. And I would probably push him there.
Oh, what about Wyatt then? Why is the reason why you like to watch Wyatt each week?
He's so different.
Yeah.
He's completely different to anything that you see on TV now. Reminds me a lot of True Blood just because the accent and things like that. But I like his gimmick, and he's got a very compelling voice. He's got a very compelling nature. You can't help but watch him.
He's not holding back when he does his promos, which is what I like. He's not 99% Bray Wyatt and 1% himself.
He's like CM Punk. I
Bray
remember
Wyatt.
watching a promo with CM Punk and just thinking, wow.
Yeah.
On the mic, amazing.
Yeah. You want to listen to what he says. So
yeah.
That's cool. And I'll tell you what, for the last couple of weeks, we've been praising Dean Ambrose on the mic. I loved his promos the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I just think that's really telling that even from a general wrestling fan, those are the 3 picks that you have, and they're the same 3 picks that I would say.
Yeah.
Bar a few other people, maybe. Like, yeah, I'm still excited to see. Yeah, in fairness, yeah, I probably would agree with you. Do you ever think a wrestler like Daniel Bryan will ever be big as a John Cena, Hogan, Austin?
I don't think so. He goes against the grain a lot of the time. Not as Austin, but as Cena.
Okay.
Cena seems to be like the lapdog, the very do-gooder, and that's how he gets big over, because the company pushes him so much.
Yeah.
But
there's no secret John Cena's had the establishment behind him. But...
Yeah. But he also hasn't got the balls Stone Cold has.
Who, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I dislike about Brian, I'm a big fan of Daniel Bryan, so before we get started, the thing maybe I dislike about him as well is that his character, like, he gets dogged over about the whole 6 months of him getting done by the Authority. The amount of times he got beaten up, and yet he would stand in the ring and cut jokes with, like, Triple H, and he would kick the shit out of him, sort of thing. It just didn't
yeah, like, if that was Stone Cold, he'd have out his 18-wheeler, and he'd have a pack of beers, and he would kick the crap out of everyone and then drink on them.
Yeah.
He would pour it down their throats, and he would drink on them.
So, do you think that... going to the question a little bit more, do you think the reason why Daniel Bryan may not be as big as them, do you think it's because of his personality, or do you think it is because of his build? Do you think because he's a smaller guy? You look at him, he's probably a good 60, 70 pounds less than John Cena at the very least, or I don't know about Austin's weight or anything like that, but he's still a lot smaller in terms of size and stature.
I think it could be his personality. He doesn't seem to go either way. He's smack dab in the middle. You've got John Cena, which is like Uberman, and then you have Stone Cold, who's the FU to the Authority, and then you have Brian, he's in the middle.
Yeah, like
he hasn't picked a direction.
He's had a horrendous time since WrestleMania. I was saying that with his injury and everything going on that way since his title win.
Terrible actress of a wife.
Yeah, Brie Bella. You don't need to be any sort of fan can realise that she wasn't.
She wasn't very natural at all.
Yeah.
Like when she slapped Stephanie, or she told her to leave us alone, it was very. Leave us alone.
Leave us alone. Or was it get away? I think it was the what she said. A lot of people may disagree with you because a lot of people do like Daniel Bryan, but it doesn't matter what they say. Because
it only matters what I say.
Yeah, that's law, isn't it?
Yeah. I kid.
But yeah, Daniel Bryan is a hot property. I'm not going to say he's going to be big, but whether he'll be such a huge draw as Austin and Hogan and Cena to a degree, yet to be seen. And yet, like I said, he's had a horrendous time since Mania. I
think he could take over from Cena, though. I can see a lot of kids getting behind him because he's the underdog. He'd remind you of the kid that was bullied in school, or the kid that wasn't picked for sports. And look at him, and he's doing better, and he's getting there, and he can be picked.
Yeah, and
he's a good hero.
His wrestling ability is second to none. So we'll big man Daniel Bryan. But interesting thing about that. Here's your thoughts, all right? I want to hear about your thoughts about total non-stop action wrestling.
What's that?
TNA, total non-stop action wrestling.
Nope, not in my vocabulary. No, erased from my memory. I will not talk about it. Don't take me to that place. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
There's no other words for it. You have Jeff Hardy, who's being Willow. But, like, he's still Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's Jeff Hardy as Willow. He's still wearing those really crazy bracelets, arm thingies.
The arm things that he's wanted 1990 or whatever.
Yeah, and the Michael Jackson shoes.
Yeah.
And the weird pants. So he's just Jeff Hardy with a mask.
Yeah.
And a weird laugh. He must be really high.
Yeah. Now...
And then there's the other guy. Who's the other guy that I don't like from there? The guy that kind of looks like Daniel Bryan, but he's got no neck.
Eric Young.
Yeah. He has no neck. He doesn't. He looks like a weird, like, action figure.
Okay. This is interesting, right? Because I know Eric Young's past. I know that he... I won't tell you what the stuff that he was to do, whether he was a big star or if he wasn't or anything. What's your thoughts of Eric Young as a champion? Because he was a champion since the moment you started watching TNA. He's no longer the champion, but we haven't watched that yet. So, what was your thoughts on Eric Young as a whole?
I just couldn't get over his look. I couldn't get behind him. He just... I don't know. There's no words for him. I was confused by him.
Confused?
Yeah.
More confused than you would be a Daniel Bryan in that episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just... I don't know. Didn't gel for me. He just seemed too macho man. Too getting things easy. Even though he looked like he was working for the title, it just... I don't know.
Well, Eric Young's past is that he was a comedy character, much like Santino.
Oh.
So... the whole kind of deal about him being champion is that not a lot of people saw it coming, and he deserved it over his time, but it doesn't really matter. If someone just started watching TNA as of now, which as you were, that's the way you would see it, so that's the interesting way of thinking about it. So, overall thoughts about TNA though, I mean, you started watching them during probably one of the worst 4 weeks of TV tapings in the history of wrestling, so really, I know that your stuff is really, you do not even want to waste your time on TNA.
Oh, not at all.
But do you at least see some potential with the company? Do you see anything?
No.
None at all?
None at all. Because, like, I just see that they mirror WWE a lot. Like, I see some of their wrestlers seem like the cheap man's version of WWE wrestlers.
Okay.
Like, that guy, Eric Young,
Yeah.
seems to me like the Daniel Bryan wannabe.
Yeah. Which some people have labelled him, yeah.
And then you have the crazy guy who was stalking the chick.
Oh, Samuel Shaw, yeah.
Yeah, he just reminds me kind of doing the crazy stuff like Ambrose. And then you have Willow, who's trying to be Bray.
Bray Wyatt, yeah. Like...
It's just the watered-down, cheap version.
Yeah. Diet.
Yeah.
WWE, which is what I call it.
Or as we say in Ireland, you know, it's the pennies version.
Pennies version, yeah. Which is, if anyone doesn't know, pennies is like a really...
It's Primark in England.
Yeah, but a majority of our listeners are Americans, so I wouldn't even know.
Kmart.
There you go, there you go. It's good that you went to America and you got family over there.
It's the Kmart version of Sears.
Yeah, there you go. I think the main problem with TNA myself, I don't know if you would agree, because I mean, for people that don't know, maybe think I've been feeding you all this information, and you're only just saying what I'm saying to you. I very rarely talk to you about anything in the podcast, so
yeah.
Regards to that. But my major issue with TNA is their presentation. They look like a B movie. That's my issue with them.
They do, and you can tell. Like, I've seen the camera pan once, and it was just the other side is completely empty.
Yeah, and they cut away quickly to try and stop you, but you do see it, yeah. And you see, well, you haven't seen pictures, but I mean, I see pictures of their arenas being very empty. But recently, apparently, they've picked their game up a little bit. But maybe they've already burnt their bridges with a lot of people. Let's go forward anyway. We'll talk a bit about TNA. When you watch a episode of Raw each week, what are you looking to get out of that show? That 3 hours, which is way too much. Are you looking for really good matches? Are you looking for good comedy or good storylines? What are you looking for? Or maybe something else?
Entertainment.
Just in general, like all of them.
Yeah, I want something to stick out. I don't want to feel like I want to fast forward a match.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be... I know you can't be on the edge of your seat for an entire 3 hours, but, you know, I enjoy the promos.
Yeah.
I enjoy the relationship between characters.
Yeah.
And when you build that relationship between characters, it makes you look forward to the matches.
Yeah, well, like a rivalry between two different people sort of thing, yeah.
Something important.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you pissed me off last week, so I'm going to kick your ass this week.
Okay, so the storylines you'd say would be quite pivotal to what you're saying. What about comedy? What about comedy, though?
Well, they're part of the storylines, too.
Okay.
Like, some of my best memories would be Santina.
Santina Marella.
Santina, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of comedy things were great.
Yeah.
And they at least gave you a laugh.
Yeah, a little cheap little laugh, yeah. I get what you mean, cool. So really, your answer to that is pretty much everything. Everything in a good burrito, shall we say? If they don't,
if you don't build a relationship between characters, then it's just fighting. Like, this is why I could never get into boxing.
Yeah.
There's no backstory. You don't know the deepness of the rivalry. You don't know who hurt whose feelings, except for when they cut the promo the day before.
Yeah, I get what
and
you
the guy
mean.
is like, "I'm going to beat you."
Unless you're looking for it, so I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I never liked soccer till you, you know, told me about rivalries and you gave me backstories
like
on Man
derby
City.
matches, yeah, and stuff like that, yeah. Whereas like Liverpool versus Everton rivalry, Arsenal, Tottenham, Man City, United, or Steve and myself. Yeah. If you've got something like a storyline to get emotionally involved in, that's why we watch professional wrestling and not amateur wrestling. It's because there's a story and there's a theme behind it. And one thing about it being choreographed is that, well,
it's a good storytelling.
Yeah, it's a storytelling mechanic. Do you agree then that stories told better in the ring? Stories are told better in the ring or better on a mic?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Like, there isn't enough in-ring wrestling storytellers today. Whereas you look back at the likes of Austin, Bret Hart, they were in-ring storytellers. Would you like they could wrestle a story in the ring? Would you prefer to have that more now or more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a lot more passion when they fought.
Yeah.
You know, like when they were knocked out and they really wanted to win. And like I remember, you know, cheering the TV on at home like they did in, you know, because they get powered up by the crowd cheering for them. That you felt it actually happen. You felt like, because I'm cheering for them, they're going to get up and they're going to win.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, you don't.
Yeah. Partly because of the crowds, but I mean, the crowds aren't so much into it nowadays, but that's partly WWE's fault as well. So, like...
No, but that's what I mean. Like, when I see them wrestle and I see them on the floor, you know, trying to get the tag in, I don't feel compelled to cheer them on. I don't want to do that. I don't feel the need to, like I did before.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Here we go. We're going to talk a bit more about Paige. Paige was recently brought up from NXT.
Yep.
To Raw. She's the Divas champion. What are your thoughts on her since she debuted?
Well, you had bigged her up. You didn't tell me anything about it, but you were like, she's amazing. She's this, that, and the other. She's great. She deserves to be up here. And then she arrived, and it was a bit of a letdown. Because it was a bit of a, I just came out here to say congratulations.
Yeah.
It was a yappity. And I was like, but I thought this chick was supposed to be badass.
Yeah, which she was. She was in NXT.
So. She looks badass. I like her outfit. She looks hot. She looks like a grunge rocker girl.
Yeah.
But as you called it, a snatch and grab. Week in, week out. It was only last week when she had a really good match.
Well, against Cameron, it wasn't good. It was just that she beat her up a bit more.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what's classed
as
good.
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah. You know who Cameron is, don't you? You watched Tough Enough with me.
Yes. I think I cheered that week when she got eliminated. When she got sent home.
Yeah. Well, she was the first one sent home.
Yeah, but what kills me is that she got on wrestling and Matt didn't. The guy that broke his ankle.
Yeah, and he was very, very good. In fact, Austin actually had a episode of his podcast where he talked to some guys. I don't know if he talked to him directly, but the guy with the long blonde hair?
Yep.
That he always digged on. He was talking to him and he was very hot on him, Austin. So it was good stuff about him. So he had to deal with a lot of shit, and he had the best promo while he was there, wasn't he, when he was there? So, this is a question more so from Matt than me.
Okay.
Okay. Will you be a Rosebud, or will you go onto Matt's side and take the lemon pledge?
No lemon pledge.
You're going to take the lemon pledge?
No.
Or are you going to be a Rosebud?
No, senor, no lemon pledge.
You're going to take a Rosebud?
No, I'm not going to be fucking anything. He annoys me. He annoys me to no end. All these people jumping around in the weird rabbit suits, and all I can think of is he's going to choke on that lollipop. Every time I see him, I'm like, oh my god, he's going to choke on the lollipop, and he's just trying to be Russell Brand, and he's so fucking annoying. He really is. I don't want to be anything to do with him.
So you'll put your hand over your heart and take the lemon pledge?
No, I'm just going to be Stacey.
Oh, okay.
I want nothing to do with that man. Nothing.
Okay, so you're not going to join Matt and his
I'll be the Windowline.
Okay. That's right. So you're more lemon than Rosebud, shall we say?
I like lemon.
Okay, that's fine. Matt is pretty much...
And as well, all I can think of when he says don't be a lemon, be a rosebud, all I can think of is don't be a lemon, be a wedge. I don't know why.
Where is that from, again?
Yeah, I don't know. A lemon wedge. Maybe it was when we used to play trivia.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Because the colour wedges.
Trivial Pursuit, yeah. So
I'll be a wedge.
Okay, you'll be a lemon wedge rather than a lemon pledge. What are your thoughts on NXT? You watched your first episode.
Amazing.
You really liked NXT.
I really liked NXT. Like, I thought, like, honestly, in my heart to heart, that I thought it was going to be like TNA.
Yeah.
And it was better than WWE.
Really?
Wrestling quality was amazing.
Yeah. A lot of people would agree with you.
I was riveted watching it. Like, even Paige was different on it.
Yeah.
Compared to WWE. It looked like old school WWE.
Is that probably the best label you could put on it?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Back
the crowd are really into it there, aren't they?
It was back to basics. It was WWF.
Yeah. So you say it's not NXT, it's WWF. It's probably the best way you say it. So these are the guys that are in development.
And I loved their ring. The ring flooring was black. Wasn't it?
Well, they've got the whole NXT deck out colour scheme. Yeah, I get what you mean. I was like,
it was hot.
Yeah, it was good. And if anyone noticing, that was the episode that we watched with Mr. NXT on. Which was hilarious.
All you need to do is believe. He's growing on me. Yeah. He's cute.
I guess I don't have to ask this question because we've already gone over it, but if you could have a choice between TNA and NXT, what would you watch?
Oh, God. NXT.
So would you watch NXT a lot more now?
Yeah.
I've tried to. Matt's the one who normally does the NXT review each week.
Well, then I'm going to have to chat to Matt about it. Hit me up, buddy.
Good luck trying to get him to watch TNA. It ain't going to work. So
I don't know why you watch TNA. It's taking
up
room on
listeners. For the listeners.
It's taking up room on the DVR. Okay, that shit don't need to see daylight. It's so bad.
So you're not a big fan of Dixie Carter, no?
Who?
Right, moving on. How do you feel about wrestlers being underused? This is a question that I thought was a bit interesting with you, right? Fans like myself and Matt, when we see a wrestler that we like, or a wrestler that we see doing really well, and he's being underused, we get frustrated.
Yeah.
But for a general wrestling fan, they might just see it as, well, he's shit, he's losing matches. So, how do you feel about wrestlers being underutilized like Dolph Ziggler, and before all this stuff was going, just don't mind all the comedy shit he's been doing, Damien Sandow? So how do you feel about them being underutilized? Do you think...
I didn't see much of Damien Sandow previously, but I used to remember him coming out and being all high and mighty.
Yeah, silence! Yeah,
and now he's the butt of the jokes. Now it looks like people are making fun of him.
Yeah, they're pointing the finger at him. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's, I find it very sad. You know, I feel like he's been picked on a bit. You know, you're being a dick, you aren't told what to do, so go wear the dunce cap.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
And I liked Dolph Ziggler. I was never really much of a fan with him, but when he was on, I watched that promo he cut with Hugh Jackman, and I thought he was really great in the mic.
This, one of the things about Dolph Ziggler, right? One of the things that frustrates a lot of people is that he's good on the mic. He's brilliant in the ring, as you can see. He's had good matches, but he doesn't get given the mic that often. So, like, he in one of the interviews, he said when he first debuted for 2 years on TV, he was never given a microphone. So that was like really frustrating. He never got a chance to actually say a word or be able to tell his stories.
Because he was a cheerleader.
Yeah, that's where he first came from. But I think he's more so when he came back, when he actually first debuted as Dolph Ziggler. He never got any.
Or as we like to call him,
Ziggler.
The Ziggles.
The Ziggles, Dr. Ziggles. Yeah. So, what do you feel about him being underused? Do you think he is being underused? Do you think that?
I think
like
he has a tremendous talent. Like, if you got his character down and you got an angle on it, he could go places.
Yeah.
So he is an underutilized asset.
Yeah. I think a lot of people might say there's only a few slots you can have up there, but what I would say, I think Dolph Ziggler is good enough to be one of those slots. That's what I would say.
He deserves a lot more mic time anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that's...
It would be great to see him on like a tag team kind of thing. Or, you know, buddying up with someone and coming out to the ringside.
So you would rather him tag up with someone or something along those lines?
Build a relationship, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Or maybe I'm a manager, maybe. Someone to talk for him, sort of thing.
That's what I mean. Not Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Paul Heyman would be awful with Ziggler.
Didn't he have that guy that wrestled that one time and won something? Paul Heyman? Didn't he?
Oh, I don't know. Mania, wasn't it? I think,
yeah. Oh yeah, he broke the streak, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, wasn't it like Triple H's streak or something along those lines? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like 9-0.
Yeah, so Mr. Bork Laser, I think was his name.
Yeah, Bulk, definitely Bulk. I remember that because it sounded like Bulk.
Yeah.
We're not idiots, people. We're not idiots. We're just.
Especially as that's like the first thing of the tag of the intro as well. It's just Paul Heyman shouting out, "My client, Brock Lesnar, broke the streak." Do you think with Bo Dallas getting his 9-0 streak going forward, do you think that Brock Lesnar will smell a new streak and go for Bro?
Maybe.
Or do you think
I think Bo would be just too nice of an opponent to him. He would be high-fiving him and he'd be like, "You did it because you believe."
Yeah. Yeah, I do like Bo Dallas. He's very good. Matt started to get sold on him. He hated him at the beginning, but he's starting to get there.
I didn't get him at the beginning, and now I'm just like...
It's getting there.
Aww.
It's same at NXT. He did the exact same thing in NXT, the same gimmick.
Yeah.
And it took a bit of time, but it got there, and now it's awesome. So.
Yeah, because you introduced him as the Justin Bieber.
He is the Justin Bieber of WWE.
He's not.
He is. Because he's the guy who's always happy, and that's the reason why people hate him.
Justin Bieber isn't always happy. He's always getting high.
Now he's not, yeah.
But, like, I see him, and I just think, aw, I'm going to give him a hug. Just give him some words of encouragement.
Encouragement.
So,
moving forward, talking about Paul Heyman, guys, how do you feel about the CM Punk situation? Do you agree with fans chanting his name at shows?
I miss him.
You do?
I do. I miss him. He was I wouldn't even look much at his wrestling style because that's more your thing, but I enjoyed listening to him. I found him quite witty.
Yeah, very quick off the mark. Yeah.
He had a hint of Stone Cold in him. He had a bit of a balls in him, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Like, the best line he ever said was like, you know, my little sister texted me.
Yeah,
she was like, WTF?
Yeah,
LOL.
Nash.
I thought Kevin Nash was dead.
Yeah.
And then I went to see Magic Mike, and Kevin Nash was in it, so I texted Tony the exact same thing. I was like, WTF? What the fuck? I thought he was dead.
LOL, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if how much you know about the CM Punk situation, but essentially he took his ball and he went home. He didn't get what he wanted, so he quit.
But I mean, there's only so long you can bang your head against a brick wall before you give up.
So see, this is funny, right? Because I'm completely against it. I'm for he's got a contract. He should be professional. He should wrestle it out regardless of his feelings, and then if he feels that strongly, he should leave after his contract.
But sometimes the creative differences are just too big. You know, if you stay there, you're hurting yourself. You're not honouring a contract and being, you know, a good employee. You're damaging yourself. You're damaging your spirit and your creativity. And
it wasn't as if he was being paraded around like Damien Sandow now, was it? So.
But he could have been very close to it.
I doubt it. I heavily doubt it.
You don't know. Maybe not as bad as Sandow, but...
Like, I think the thing is, right, that Punk wasn't being put in like a headline situation for Mania, so that's the reason why he walked out. Now, a lot of people don't know why, and obviously he's been on a sabbatical ever since. But at the end of the day, we're allowed to disagree on certain things. I think that he should have been professional.
Well, I'm your wife, and I'm telling you need to agree with me.
No. When it comes to podcasting, I have a bit of backbone, you know. But you agree with CM Punk. You think that he did the right thing
for himself. You know, nobody is going to have his back like he does. Like, if I was in that situation and I've been grafting and I've been working my way up to the top and my moment to shine never comes because some dickhead has it the past 10 years, I would be pissed off.
Yeah.
You're in a negative environment. The more fuss you kick up, it's like when you get a job and you complain about your hours behind your boss's back and they find out. They give you the shittiest hours going. They give you the shittiest roster. They give you all the menial work, like washing out the toilets. It's that kind of situation. That if it's impacting negatively on me, and it makes me dread going to work, then how am I supposed to have fans behind me if I don't like my job and I don't like me in my job?
I think I have to agree to disagree. I think
it's because you know I'm right.
Move forward anyway. One of the reasons I think that CM Punk disliked the situation is that he disliked having a lot of part-time wrestlers coming in. So how do you feel about part-time wrestlers like Brock Lesnar, The Rock, and to a lesser degree Batista and RVD? How do you feel about these guys coming in and out, or maybe guys that like
really
Brock
annoys me. Really, really annoys me.
Okay.
They're almost like Ric Flair that way. You know, they're taking the spotlight off people that need it.
Yeah.
Like, they've had their time to shine, and if they want to be back in wrestling, be back in wrestling.
Yeah.
Don't make it your part-time gig because you've nothing else to do.
Yeah.
If you want to be a wrestler, be a wrestler. If you want to be a movie star, be a movie star. If you want to live in the 80s and have long weird hair like RVD, have long weird hair. Just don't put it on the TV.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think there's a difference between the likes of Brock Lesnar and Rock, who come in and out, maybe do one date and then leave? Or do you think it's better the way that Batista and RVD do it, whereas they come in for blocks of like 3 months, then they go for a couple of months and come back for 3 months?
It's definitely better that they come in for a few months.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when you bring someone like The Rock in, it's a climactic thing. You're going to have huge pop numbers.
Yeah.
People are going to want to be there.
Yeah.
So, from a money side of things, The Rock coming once a year is a great thing.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
But as a fan thing, it's annoying. Because it's like, where have you been?
Especially when he was champion and like he was barely on any of the shows and stuff like that. But for what it's worth, I'd hate to break it to you, it looks like Brock Lesnar will be champion in a couple of months. But that's for future stuff. We'll get into that.
But even Brock Lesnar, I really, really don't like him.
Yeah.
I hate that Paul Heyman talks for him. I get why he talks for him, because the dude has the weirdest voice in the world, and his pitch is all wrong. He just sounds like a guy hitting puberty constantly. When
he screams and stuff. There's so many memes of him screaming and stuff like that.
No, but I remember him talking, let's get it on, you know? But
like a
I get no feel for the character. I get that he wanted to break the streak, but why did he want to break the streak?
Yeah.
Besides the fact of, you know, Brock Smash.
Yeah.
You know?
Brock Smash. Talking of streak, do you think it was wasted on Brock Lesnar?
Definitely.
100%. Who would you have given the streak to?
Me and you talked about it, and I think I would have loved to have CM Punk take it.
Okay.
But because he wasn't in it, Roman Reigns would have been a great one to take the reins.
Yeah.
You get it?
I think if he would have broken the streak in the way, if they would have done it right, that's that guy's set for his career.
It projects the career.
Yeah.
I mean, Brock Lesnar hasn't been back on the screen since he broke the streak. You know?
And in his wake, all we've got is Paul Heyman just hammering that down us, which is just quite frustrating. I know you're a fan. Moving forward, the lack of segues in this interview is frustrating me. Anyway,
what's segue?
Everyone likes segues on my show. So, like for instance, like, oh, talking about Dallas, do you believe in this segment? So no, obviously none of that. You like e-shows, you know, Keeping Up with Kardashians, Chloe and Lamar when they were together.
Yeah.
Other shows from there, like you've watched a few other ones and stuff
You've
like
got
that.
all the Kardashian shows. You've got Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Chloe and Lamar, Kim and Courtney Take Miami, Kim and
You're
Chloe
a fan of all of them, aren't you? You like them all.
New York, yeah.
There is another e-show. I don't know if you've seen it. Total Divas. It's centered around the divas, right? Yeah. Is Total Divas a show that you would be interested in watching, considering you are a fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
I think it would be. I haven't watched an episode yet, but it's not one that purely because I haven't seen it come up on the feed. But yeah, I would like to watch it because I've watched other shows like Rockstar Wives, things like that, and I've watched Ice and Coco, and I enjoy watching them.
Well, the show is like it's a lot of people dig on Total Divas, myself included, only for the fact that sometimes it seeps into my weekly wrestling, which frustrates me. I actually am an advocate for the show. I say, if you've got it, do it. It'll give you fans that you never had before into wrestling. Yeah. But what annoys me is when you get like a little rivalry that happens on Total Divas, and suddenly it goes into my wrestling, and suddenly we've got a shit Divas match.
Yeah, what happened a couple of weeks ago? And they had the scoreboards with Natalia and.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, because it was like we've missed a whole thing of what happened.
Yeah.
There was no backstory because it was on Total Divas.
Yeah. So.
It made no sense to the people that haven't watched it.
It is a little bit funny, actually, the fact that you know that this Total Divas stuff is recorded in bulk, and people who know show business know that. It's not hard to know that, you know. Like, they have to record it, edit it, and then send it out.
I've seen the Kardashians where one week, like, for instance, Chloe was wearing this certain maxi dress and her hair was wet.
Yeah.
And then she left at the end of that episode and went back to New York or LA or whatever. 3 weeks later was another episode, and Chloe wasn't meant to be there. Like, they obviously showed her, but she was in the same maxi dress with the wet hair, so you knew it was filmed the same day, but aired 3 weeks later because the material didn't match up.
Yeah. So
they have teams.
Doesn't it feel weird then when they do this and it's like they have a rivalry on the show, but yet this stuff was recorded fucking almost months ago? It just seems really off. So okay, so like that's fair enough. Like I know you're a fan.
Like I get the Kardashians that they pick and choose their moments. It's not as scripted.
Well, you know,
Divas is scripted.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. It is scripted to a degree. Some of it is what I like to say. It's like realism on steroids.
Yeah. You're given, this is your topic of the week. Go.
Yeah, and it's like all these things might be real situations, but they're heavily over the top and at times scripted for ultimate viewing pleasure or whatever. So, if you weren't married to myself, would you purchase the WWE Network?
No.
And why not?
I still won't purchase it now when I'm married to you.
We're getting it. We're getting the WWE Network.
Are we? Are we? Yeah, you sure? You sure about that?
It would be cheaper than the pay-per-views, wouldn't it? So.
I think WWE is getting too big for its boots.
With the network?
Yeah. Like, it's branching out into Total Divas, and it's branching out into the Legends House, and it's, you know, they're trying to network it all up so that you watch these shows and they relate to the weekly show.
Yeah.
But it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
That's how many hours of wrestling are you supposed to watch a week?
Oh God, don't even start me.
You have 3 hours of Raw. You have what, 2 or 3 hours of SmackDown?
Well, I don't watch SmackDown.
No, so but this
is my usual. This is my usual, right? So if I'm doing a full week of recording, right, this is how bad it gets. So some people might go, "Oh, you don't have to watch everything." 3 hours of a WWE pay-per-view, 3 hours of Raw, that's 6. 2 hours of TNA, and if I'm watching NXT that week, that's another hour. So you're looking at about 10 hours of wrestling.
Put it this, like, you have Raw, 3 hours. Yeah. You have SmackDown, how long is that?
2 hours if I were to
2
watch
hours.
It, yeah.
Then you have Superstars. Then you have NXT. Then you might have a pay-per-view. Then you have Legends House. And you have Total Divas.
Yeah.
All to stay up to date in the storylines.
It is excessive, isn't it?
It's very excessive. I mean, unless I was sat at home in my shorts all day watching TV, like, how am I supposed to leave the house?
Which we have absolutely no time to. I've got a broken leg. I sit in front of the TV, and yet I don't watch TV all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've still got too much stuff to do.
We have 2 crazy munchkins.
So you wouldn't purchase it?
No.
Okay. Well, we are getting it.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, we are.
When are you going to watch it?
Well, when I need to watch my pay-per-views on Raw, I'll watch it all the time, won't I?
But it won't be on the TV, it'll be on the laptop, so you can't DVR it.
That's fine. You can, because it goes through the Xbox as well, so there you go.
The Xbox isn't hooked up to the DVR.
Yeah, but you can watch it on the Xbox. It's got an app on the Xbox that you watch it through.
Okay.
There you are. So. And plus, I had to review the network for the show. You know, for our viewers.
But that's the other thing. The shameless plugging of things. The amount of times I hear Twitter.
They eased down on Twitter a little bit, but as you know, when they first started up, it was Twitter.
No,
Twitter
but
that,
I mean, 5 years ago, there was no such thing as, oh my god, hashtag Stephanie is trending.
Yeah.
You know, there was real wrestling talk. There was JR freaking out. There was.
My god!
Yeah. You know, and now it's like, the WWE app? Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
And the WWE network. Oh my god, I've never heard of it.
Especially with the network, because they're hemorrhaging. You don't know about this, but they're hemorrhaging a lot of money on the network.
Hemorrhaging.
Yeah, but they're losing lots and lots of money, so they're going to plug that to shit. If you thought that the
but would
Twitter
you not
stuff was
just
bad.
cut your losses and run?
No, not this soon. After doing it.
Yeah.
Not after they spent
No,
all the money
let's wait
getting the
until we're in a
infrastructure
mega
up.
deficit.
Yeah. No,
and then decide this was a bad move.
They're probably going to at least keep it up for a couple of years if they can.
They should have piloted it first.
What do you mean?
They should have ran a beta to test the waters.
Well, the beta was the WWE app, but I guess it's not really the same, is it? Really? Yeah,
no, I mean before you put billions of dollars into something, make sure people want it.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
It's smart business.
Explain your dislike. This is well documented on the show, and I've said this a lot of times. Explain your dislike for your fellow compatriot Sheamus. You're Irish.
So
He's Irish.
annoying.
You should love him. I love Wade Barrett. I love Paige. They're English. I'm English.
But they don't shove English down your throat.
I guess.
Know?
Yeah. Okay.
Sheamus.
Like he's not sipping tea
Is that
each
really
week. I get what you mean.
His real name?
Yeah, his name's Sheamus O'Shaughnessy.
But even that, it seems fake.
Okay.
You know, it seems like that's Irish up my name.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know, like it's a bit like Finnegan. No. What was that guy?
Finley,
yeah. Let me come out with my shillelagh.
Yeah.
And look at me little old leprechaun. You're like,
son, yeah.
Nobody says that. And Sheamus, when he first started, you could tell his beard, his eyebrows, his hair was dyed.
Yeah.
Completely orange.
Yeah.
And he whited himself up.
Yeah.
Nobody in Ireland is that white.
You're not that white. You're not that white, so I always say that.
You know, I mean, he must be anemic. There must be something wrong with him if he's that white.
Some serious skin pigmentation issues.
You know, and even like trying to be the king with his gear on, like you get
King Sheamus.
Sheamus. You know, he could have been all Celtic warrior and the whole lot, but it comes off as fake. It comes off as a token American bullshit
Of the Irish heritage. He's like what the Irish. American
but I am glad
Irish,
that he doesn't come out drunk. So he doesn't go that stereotype.
Could get worse. Yeah, I guess.
You know.
My issue with him is not so much that. I think.
And he's a Dubliner.
Oh yeah, you don't like Dubliners as well. Is that I think he's got.
If there's any Dubliners listening, I'm from Cork. You'll totally understand.
Oh no, you don't understand. They hate you for the exact same thing. So. Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm telling them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just want to explain to people that not even the Irish like Sheamus that much. It depends on where you are. I guess if you're from Dublin, I guess.
And I hate that his token is fella.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like his buzzword to get it pop, and he never gets it as well, which is quite funny.
Now, I do think Sheamus the guy is nice. I've seen articles come up about him being home in Dublin and talking about, you know, the rugby players and things like that. And he seems like a genuinely nice guy. I just think his character is very OTT and not realistic of who he is.
Okay, fair enough. My talk back to that is that the reason I'm not a big fan of him, I think he's stale. But my go back to that is that in wrestling, you do have to at least be a little bit over the top, a little bit, not excessive.
You've got Wade Barrett and you've got William Regal.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, like as I said there before you started, you don't get Wade Barrett coming out drinking tea to the ring every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whereas William Regal would come out in the full gear with the crown and scepter and drinking tea and.
Yeah. Regal rocks though. Even on that episode of NXT, you didn't see him commentate. He's probably the best commentator.
That girl on commentary on NXT was much better than I've seen her. Than I've seen her interview on WWE.
Yeah, well, she's getting there.
I was very surprised by her on NXT.
Would you agree that she needs more time? Like she's not ready to go to SmackDown and commentate on there or anything like that, or Raw.
I don't know. I think you do miss a female on Raw though.
Yeah, well, I think she's the closest you're going to get at the moment to a female broadcaster, which I think is really important. And I'm a huge advocate for her. I reckon she can do it. She just needs to put the work in, which she's more than willing to do. So that's fine. Final question for you here.
Oh no, already.
Yeah. Well, actually, we've been talking a while. Who is your favourite wrestler of all time?
Like, you need to ask. Stone Cold.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. The big bald-headed bastard, I love him. Oh, his big shiny head.
Yeah, and why is that? I mean, I know you said before a lot of the reasons why you
I suppose I was a teenager.
What makes him the best out of everyone? There's a lot of wrestlers and really good ones out there. What makes him the best?
It's his attitude.
Yeah.
It's his gung-ho attitude. It was, you know, I got into wrestling like in that age when I was a teenager and you're full of angst, and he's the guy that says F you to society.
Yeah.
He's the guy that threw the middle finger up and he got out the cans and he didn't give a shit what anybody said to him.
Mm.
And if he wanted it, he did it. If he thought something was wrong, he stood up for it.
Yeah.
You know, there was no prancing around bullshit. There was no red tape. He tore through everything.
Yeah. He
was a badass.
He was a badass, yeah, in every sense of the word, yeah. And you got to think as well, like, you may not know this. He inspired me. You not know this, but Stone Cold is what turned the tide. If it wasn't for Stone Cold, it might be likely we'll be watching WCW each week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's quite interesting when you think of that. Even though a lot of people, including myself, do agree WCW imploded, but still, Stone Cold was a huge turning point for the company. I think he
inspires a lot of people, though.
Yeah, a lot of people got behind him.
No, but I mean, he inspired you to stand up for what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, the
bionic redneck.
You know, if you see something wrong going on, you stood up for it.
Yeah.
You know? I enjoy that.
To be a badass for it. Well, with that question, you are wrong. Unfortunately, Stone Cold isn't the best of all time. It is Bret Hart. But it's okay.
No, he's Canadian.
Poor girl.
I'm going to kick you later.
Yeah, I know. That's all the questions. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think we covered it all.
We had a pretty deep conversation the other day, though, about female wrestlers.
Yeah, we might even tell that. I'll tell you what. What we'll do is that we'll stick a pin in that. We'll make that an entire topic next time we decide to do one of these. So that way we can talk about female wrestling, what it means to you.
You might even get some female subscribers.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they come for the female edge, you know, of the show. You know, on
feminist edge.
Feminist edge. So I'll wrap things up here. If you enjoyed this episode, and
give it a like.
Yeah, give it a like, and if you're new,
Stow your line.
And subscribe to the channel as well. And
if you'd like to hear more of me, press 1.
That won't do anything.
I know.
Now you're spreading lies. I'm going to lose subscribers now.
You won't put me on this anymore now.
You almost got through the whole podcast without a mistake. No, I'm joking.
That wasn't a mistake. It was on purpose.
So yeah, if you're new to the podcast and you enjoyed, subscribe and check out our weekly episodes that we do on the weekend, and that's with myself and my usual host Matt Marsander.
His other lover.
Yeah, that's it.
They're soulmates. I swear.
My verbal husband, as we say.
Yeah, we have a contract that if I die, Tony has to marry Matt.
Yeah, he will father my children. So.
Yeah.
2 daddies.
Yeah.
That doesn't instantly make me the mother. That's really weird.
I didn't say
Shameless
anything.
pay-per-view plot. So yeah, and like I said, if you want to leave any questions, maybe for a next time that we do one of these things, or if you want me, myself, and Matt to answer it, we can do that. You just leave a comment, or go on Twitter. We're on Twitter now. Do you know this?
Oh, shut up, Michael Cole.
Twitter. Yeah, Twitter.
Hashtag annoying.
If you do want to follow us on Twitter,
yeah.
It is Talk Wrestle Pod, or yeah, I think that's what it is. It's new. I haven't got into it yet. Just check the description anyway, and you'll get the link to it there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm used to plugging so much.
Let us know what you want us to talk about next time.
We do. Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing the time with me.
You're welcome.
It feels weird saying that, considering you spend all the time with me, but in terms of the audio goodness. And for all you guys out there, hope you did enjoy this little extra episode, and we hope you have a great rest of the week, and you enjoy all the content.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot now.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye.